Check the description for the following discount codes. Now, I wouldn't normally do an unboxing and a first look, but they sent the pedals over in such a cool crate. I thought an unboxing and a first look was absolutely the way to go. And also, you know, the final review is under embargo until the middle of next month, February. So I thought it would be nice just to give my first impressions and get it all unboxed. I've saved some time by not making you all watch me literally unbox every item, but the packaging is obviously here, and I'll give you a quick peek. They have said that this finish is actually not the final finish. It's going to be a higher quality print, and the same for the polythene that was wrapped around it all. But to be honest, what I see here is perfectly fine. I don't see anything wrong with it anyway. You know, and ultimately it's just the packaging at the end of the day. We may put it away in our lofts and keep it, you know, for maybe some point in the future when we move these on. But a lot of people, pardon me, are just going to throw the packaging away anyway. And from what I read in the email, everything they use here is recyclable as well, or has been recycled. So that's always good. We had another couple of boxes with some accessories in. I'll just very quickly show you that came and looked like this. Lovely finish and logo on there. So it is, you know, they've done a nice job of the presentation. And when you pay a lot of money for things, presentation is important because it helps the overall experience you get as a purchaser, as someone who's bought them, you know. And talking about price, the accelerator and brake as a pair are $699 plus tax, import duty and shipping, depending where you are in the world. Clutch pedal is optional extra at $299, again plus tax, import duty and shipping, depending where you are in the world. So for those of us in the UK, I haven't actually done the exact maths, but these are probably going to be somewhere in the region of £1,500 for the set, which very much puts them at, you know, high-end pedal pricing. And that is exactly what they're designed to be. These are Asetek's top of the tree pedals, and they have said they will be doing some further down the ranks as well. So keep your eyes open for more pedals coming from Asetek, perhaps aimed more at those of us who can't afford the top of the tree stuff like what we see here. So yes, everything is unboxed, as well as what the pedals themselves. I got a hoodie, a cap, some ear defenders, a couple of lanyards, all Asetek branded, and a nice cardboard cutout of an Asetek liveried car as well. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, but it's there. And then I got a USB stick, which is what the drivers are on because they're not available for download yet. Oh, that's another good point. The documentation, the user manuals, they're currently not printed, so I haven't got them. But when you guys receive your deliveries, you will have a paper printed user guide or manual to go with your pedals. It's just not ready right now. Like everything else in the world, there's been supply issues and production issues. So the manuals was one of the things that are being held up right now. But, oh yeah, I've got a sheet of stickers as well. That's pretty much everything out now. We've got two little cardboard boxes, one with the clutch, one with the accelerator and brake. Inside those boxes contain the fibroelastic springs or bumpers for the adjustable brake, a physical spring, some T-nuts, washers, couple of Allen keys and some bolts. The clutch came with some T-nuts, some bolts, some washers, a couple of little grub screws and what looks like a pair of sort of roll pin type things. Again, I haven't read the manual yet because I've literally just sat here and got it all out to do this unboxing and first impressions. And inside the crate, around all these other boxes, is just your typical sort of white pieces of packing foam, which is going to make a mess all over my floor. I've got little bits of white foam everywhere, polystyrene everywhere, so I'm going to have to hoover up afterwards. But yes, the unboxing experience was quite nice, quite novel to receive a set of pedals in a wooden crate. But, you know, it's, again, like I mentioned a minute ago, when you pay premium prices, it's nice to get a premium experience, even if what you package something up in makes no difference to your actual end user driving experience. You know, the box that my brake pedal comes in doesn't affect how the brake pedal feels, but I've had a nice experience unboxing all of this, and you guys will too if you have pre-ordered these or buy these at some point in the future. So let's have a quick look at the pedals themselves. Again, this is a first look, first impressions video, so it's not going to be a full review. That'll be in the middle of next month. Let's go through one pedal at a time, I suppose. My first impressions of the Accelerator pedal, and obviously is using my hand and not my foot, is that it's very, very smooth and it's a nice medium tension. It's not too hard, it's not too light, but it does look like it's adjustable because we've got some thumb screws here I can adjust and a spring. I can obviously put preload on, and in fact there's another spring here. That's probably for the Accelerator pedal, it looks like it is. Speaking of adjustments, pedal faces up, down, left, right. It looks like we can adjust the angle of the pedal itself and the travel, and of course the preload, as I mentioned. There's not much to an Accelerator pedal. I've said this before in other videos. In real life, an Accelerator pedal either operates a physical cable that's twisting a butterfly in the throttle body, or it's an electronic accelerator pedal which either has a pair of potentiometers or a pair of hall sensors inside, and it just sends a 0 to 5 volt signal, two of them in fact opposing, to the ECU. The ECU then operates an electronic throttle body to control the airflow into the engine. So there's not really much to an accelerator pedal. It's not something that's difficult to replicate in a simulator situation. Really, it just needs to be smooth, have a reasonable tension, not too soft, not too heavy, and relay its position accurately to the sim, from 0%, i.e. closed, to 100% fully open on your virtual throttle butterfly. So yeah, that so far seems like a decent pedal. The brake, and Asetek, make no apologies for this, is phenomenally hard. I can move it maybe 4 mil with my hand. Obviously, I've not done any adjustment or preload or tried different fibroelastic bumpers yet, so we'll see where I end up with that. But it is a very heavy or stiff. It's not stiff because the operation is smooth. It's just a very heavy or strong brake pedal, and they've done that intentionally. If you read on the website, it's purposeful because they believe that a stronger or heavier brake pedal makes it easier to achieve muscle memory when it comes to your braking, and that a lighter brake pedal that has perhaps more travel is harder to achieve muscle memory for. Now, I don't know if in practice that's necessarily correct, because muscle memory is muscle memory, and I think with anything, with enough practice and repetition, which is how muscle memory occurs, you can probably achieve similar results. But, like I've said before, some of the fastest sim racers in the world are using Logitech stuff, so it's not necessarily the case. But I think you can probably get to that point faster with a slightly heavier pedal that gives you more of a physical feedback about where it is, well, not so much where it is, but how hard you're pressing it. The more pressure you apply, the more you feel the pedal trying to push back, so to speak. And that muscle memory may be faster to achieve with greater resistance versus lesser resistance. But we shall see in the final review after I've been using them for a few weeks and see what I think about it. I run a reasonably heavy pedal on my V3s, but certainly not as heavy as what this feels in its current out-of-the-box configuration. So we shall see how that is. Also, this hydraulic setup here is completely bespoke. They've used no off-the-shelf master and slave cylinders like you see in a lot of other hydraulic sim racing pedals. They've custom made these for the job in hand. So it will be interesting to see, oh, hello Ori, how this feels compared to how other hydraulic pedals feel. Now you might initially go, the other hydraulic pedals are using real life master and slave cylinders. And whilst that's true, in real life, those master cylinders are acting on pistons in brake calipers, pushing pads against discs. They don't ever do that in a sim racing situation. So whilst the master cylinder may be something you'll find in a real car, it's not doing the same job as in a real car, so it isn't necessarily going to feel the same. And of course the slave cylinders on other hydraulic pedals, those pull type slave cylinders you see from Willwood or Girling or whoever, they're not used for brakes at all in real life cars. They are used to operate clutches, often seen when converting an old car from a cable operated clutch to a sorry Ori, to a hydraulic clutch, and there is an arm on top of the gearbox that would have been operated by your cable. You use a pull type slave cylinder to pull that arm instead. Again, often seen when you put uprated race clutches on that are now really heavy, the original cables and fittings just can't take the extra force of those pressure plates, and the cables snap. I experienced this firsthand running a tuning shop for the last decade, so I use those sort of slave cylinders all the time. But yeah, this is bespoke, so be interesting to see whether this feels more like a brake pedal versus using off the shelf master and effectively clutch pull type slave cylinders. Really quite looking forward to having a play with that. So talking about clutches, this is the final item we'll have my first impressions on. Again, same build quality, same colour scheme with this burnt orange highlighting where your adjustment points are on the pedal. And of course the face goes up, down, left and right. We have the Asetek SimSports logo on the back, just the same as the other pedals. And I do like this design. I quite like this sort of bare metal striping across the pedal. It's almost got an 80s feel to it. It reminds me of things like the Ford Escort RS 1600i with the striping across the bonnet that gradually fades back from thick to thin, and I think very much an 80s design. I think that's quite cool. I do like that. The pedal itself, obviously again there's no play in this, just like there wasn't any of those. There's a reasonable amount of tension on this pedal. Now if I was to compare it to like an AP racing clutch that I might fit at work, it's not as heavy as one of those, because I would struggle to push one of those down with my hands, on a real car. But it is reasonably heavy, and there is that simulated point of overcoming the pressure plate on the clutch just about here. So not far up from the travel, although the travel is adjustable, looking at where this orange thumb screw is there. So yeah, again, smooth. I like the simulated biting point. It's not really a simulated biting point as such, but it's close to where the biting point would be in a real car, because when those pressure plate springs release, that's when the friction plate can come away from the flywheel, and you lose your bite, you lose your connection. So it pretty much is a simulated biting point. But yeah, my first impressions are good. I think the build quality looks good so far. The fit and finish looks good so far. The adjustability looks like there's going to be plenty of it. Bespoke hydraulic setup, really interesting. Looking forward to having a play with that, and also getting everything dialed to where I like it. Now there's two things, again this is first impressions, that stand out to me that I may not like. The first of which is a symmetry issue. I'm a man who likes symmetry. For me, everything has to be matching and balanced. Maybe I'm just a bit OCD, who knows? But if you look at the pedals as they are now, I'm sure you can tell me in the comments where my OCD is going to be triggered by a lack of symmetry. That's the first thing. And the second thing that I've noticed is that the stoppers for the accelerator and the clutch are not dampened in any way. There's no rubber, so you're going to have a loud bang every time you hit 100% travel on the accelerator pedal, which will happen a lot in sim racing. We like to be flat out as much as you can be. Every time you lift off and modulate, you're going to get that knock, and the same on the clutch there. Now, in a real car, it doesn't make any difference because the car's way noisier than whatever your pedal stops might be. But in a sim racing scenario where perhaps there are other family members to consider, wives, girlfriends, maybe you're racing late at night after the kids have gone to sleep, maybe you're in an apartment block with neighbours, that, especially when then bolted to a metal sim racing rig, aluminium or steel or whatever it might be, could be quite noisy. We won't know until we get it fitted and we get to use it. And of course I'm on carpet, which will actually dampen the sound a little bit, so that's quite useful for me. But they're the only two things that as a first impression I could see might be an an issue for me. And one of them is just me being OCD about symmetry. The other one, this noisy stopper, might actually be an issue for some people. But that is my first look, my unboxing and my first impressions. Full review will be out middle of February, so I've got quite a few weeks to have a good play with these, put them through their paces, get them tweaked to how I want them to be. So we shall see in a few weeks exactly what I think of them. Thank you very much to Asetek for sending me these over for preview now and a full review in a few weeks. And as always, to the rest of you, thank you very much for watching and take it easy.